Since the October 2023 terror attack by Hamas in Israel, the country has been shaken and there has been a major ongoing issue, that is the hostage crisis. Several hostages were taken, several have been returned, but several remain in Gaza under Hamas custody. With me is Daniel Shek. He is head of diplomacy of a forum that takes care of the needs of the family members of the hostages. It's involved in advocacy as well. An important and influential forum here that emerged as part of the civil society movement. So, welcome to WION. And my first and obvious question that everyone wants to ask is, what next when it comes to this ongoing war? What's your view when it comes to the war which is happening? When it comes to Israel's war on Hamas in Gaza, that has other repercussions as well.
I believe that at this point, 667 days after October 7, 2023, and with 50 hostages remaining, 20 of whom at least are alive but in horrendous condition, as some Hamas videos released in the last 48 hours show, it's time to end the war. I think military action has done what it can do, and that it's time to end the war and release all the hostages through an agreement. Obviously, this is not something that we can do as a civil society organization. It's the responsibility of the Israeli government, but it is our role to speak up for these people who can't use their own. You know, there were 251 hostages, there are 50 remaining. And we will stay here as this civil society organization until the very last of them comes home.
There were many hostages taken and many were returned. Many pictures which we see across the city as well, in Tel Aviv as well, we see and the world as well, we see the yellow bands as well. So perhaps if you can talk about the many faces who are brothers, sisters, mothers, and as to how your organization is helping their family members at this time of grief.
So luckily we remain with the minority, but each hostage counts. And those who have come back need care too. You know, the hostages themselves and the families, they went through a terrible trauma. But at the beginning, when there were 251 families, that's thousands of people who are in terrible distress, who are in terrible worry. As you said, there are children and mothers and fathers and grandfathers and grandchildren and brothers and sisters, and you have every permutation. There were hostages from 6 months old babies to 85 and 86-year-old people. People who were wounded during their capture. So the concern, the panic of the families was tremendous. And to a large extent, those remaining, the 50 remaining, who yesterday marked the 666th day of captivity, they are exhausted. They are simply exhausted mentally, morally, physically, psychologically. And they want this to end, and we try to give them the support that we can. No one can alleviate this completely until they see their loved ones safely home.
Until they see the loved ones safely home. But are you hopeful that loved ones will come back soon? What's your sense like when it comes to these hostages, and what are the measures you are taking globally as well? I believe some delegations have traveled to various global capitals.
We have a network of contacts with every country and leadership and government that has any kind of bearing on the situation, and we take the term to leave no stone unturned very literally. We will go anywhere if we think that it can help. It can be the Tour de France or the Olympics where we show the posters, and it can be the summit of the G7 where we will literally go and speak to world leaders who have influence. That is our mission here. Am I hopeful? You know, I don't know. I think at this stage, the lives of these people hang on a thread. It's touch and go. Having a sign of life yesterday doesn't mean that tomorrow that person will still be alive. So I certainly am convinced that the urgency of releasing the hostages should be the number one priority for the Israeli government, as it is for 80% of Israeli public opinion. I'm not convinced that this is yet the case. But in the end, I know from the families, there's been so many ups and downs in their hopes that they're at a stage where they will believe it when they see the door of the Red Cross car opening and their son or brother or sister will step out of the car.
Just one counter question. You said when it comes to that is not the case when it comes to the release, when it comes to the government and your perception. What do you mean by that?
I believe that the current Israeli government does not want to end the war at this stage, and you can't release the hostages without ending the war. So that's our main message now. End the war, release all the hostages.
My last question, this is clearly a major humanitarian challenge Israel is witnessing, but there's also a humanitarian challenge happening in Gaza as well. Do you have any view about that?
I have a personal view. Obviously, it's not something that the civil society organization concerned with the hostages will have an opinion on. It pains me a lot to see the suffering in Gaza. I'm a man of peace. I'm involved in many Israeli-Palestinian collaborations in order to build peace. And it hurts me to see so much human suffering. But when Hamas staged October 7th, they knew there would be consequences, and they have a heavy responsibility for what is happening to civilians in Gaza. But as I said, at this point, it's time to end the war. And paradoxically, even though we're talking about a small number of people, 50 hostages, a lot hinges on these 50 people. The war and the suffering for the Gazans won't end unless these 50 people are released.
On that note, thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION and giving us a broad picture about what your forum does and how essentially it helps the people, the family members. So that's the view on the ground here in Tel Aviv. It's been over 1 year, but of course the scars have not been healing yet, and clearly the expectations of the people is that the hostages who are currently in Hamas custody needs to be released as soon as possible. With video journalist Neeraj Patel, Sidhant Sibal for WION in Tel Aviv, Israel.